Welcome, and invite yourself to settle into a space of profound comfort. A place where the demands of the day simply dissolve into the ether, leaving only the steady rhythm of your own breath and the quiet hum of the present moment. Let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw loosen, and feel the weight of your body being fully supported by the surface beneath you. Grounded, held, and safe. We are embarking on a journey together, a slow, meandering exploration of a topic that at first glance might seem structured, perhaps even rigid, but is, in truth, the very architecture of peace. We are going to speak about the consensual relationship agreement and the templates that guide us toward clarity. It is a subject that deals with words, with paper, with definitions. But beneath the ink and the formatting, it is a subject about the heart's need for safety and the mind's desire for a quiet, understood space in which to rest. Consider for a moment the nature of a relationship. It is a vast, open landscape, a terrain that two or more people decide to traverse together. Without a map, without a compass, this landscape can sometimes feel overwhelming, the paths indistinct, the boundaries hidden in the mist. We often navigate our connections through intuition alone, hoping that our silent expectations align with the silent expectations of another. And often, they do. But there is a specific kind of tranquility that arrives when the unspoken is gently brought into the light, when the abstract is made concrete, and when the boundaries of our interactions are traced with care and intention. This is the essence of a relationship agreement template, not as a cold, legal tether, but as a trellis for a vine. A trellis does not restrict the life of the plant. Rather, it offers it a shape, a direction, a support system that allows it to climb higher, to reach the sunlight, to bloom without the fear of collapsing under its own weight. In this hour, we will not be rushing. We will not be debating the finer points of law, nor will we be urging you to sign anything. Instead, we will drift through the philosophy of these agreements, exploring why they exist, how they serve us, and the deep, restorative relief that comes from knowing exactly where we stand. We will look at the template not as a form to be filled out in haste, but as a vessel, a container for our desires, our limits, and our shared humanity. Imagine, if you will, a house. When you enter a house that has been built with intention, you feel it immediately. The walls are solid. The roof is sound. The windows frame the view just so. You do not have to worry that the floor might give way beneath you, or that the walls will shift in the night. Because the structure is sound, you are free to live inside it, to decorate it, to dance within its rooms, to sleep deeply in its shelter. A consensual relationship agreement is the blueprint for that house. It is the plan that ensures the foundation is level. It is the understanding of where the doors are, and which ones are locked, and which ones stand open to the breeze. When we utilize a template, we are saving ourselves the exhaustion of inventing the wheel anew. We are leaning on the wisdom of those who have built before us, using a structure that has been tested, so that we can focus our energy not on the building, but on the living. Let us ponder the word consensual. It is a soft word, full of sibilance, sliding gently off the tongue. It implies a coming together of senses, a harmony of feeling. To consent is to feel together. It is not merely a yes spoken in a void. It is a resonance. Like two musical notes played on different instruments that, when sounded together, create a chord that is richer and deeper than either could achieve alone. In the context of our discussion and the templates we will explore, consensus is the heartbeat. It is the constant, rhythmic assurance that every topic taken is a step chosen by everyone involved. There is a profound relaxation that occurs in the body when we know that nothing will happen to us that we have not invited. The nervous system, which spends so much of its time scanning for threats, scanning for the unknown, can finally stand down. When an agreement is in place, when the template has been reviewed and personalized, the unknown becomes known. The fog lifts, and in that clarity, there is room for true intimacy and true rest. As we drift deeper into this opening chapter of our time together, let us consider the concept of the template itself. A template is a guide. It is a path cleared through a dense forest. Someone else has walked here. Someone else has considered the obstacles, and they have laid down a series of stones for us to step on. In the realm of relationships, whether they be romantic, platonic, or distinctively dynamic in nature, emotions can be like the weather, unpredictable, shifting, vast. A template offers us a way to navigate that weather. It asks the questions we might be too shy to ask. It raises the topics we might forget to mention. It holds the space for difficult conversations, making them easier simply by placing them on the page. Think of the template as a gentle host, inviting you to sit down at a table and speak your truth. It says, "Here is a space for your needs. Here is a space for your limits. Here is a space for your dreams." It does not judge what you write in those spaces. It simply holds them. There is a beauty in this neutrality. Often, we fear that stating our needs makes us demanding, or that stating our limits makes us cold. But the template absorbs this fear. It normalizes the act of defining the relationship. It says, "This is what people do when they care for one another. They clarify, they protect, they agree." In the sections to come, later in our journey, we will walk through the specific rooms of this house. We will look at the different types of clauses and considerations that these templates often contain. We will explore how they address time and space and emotion and physicality. But for now, in this opening meditation, we simply rest in the idea of the agreement. Let yourself visualize a piece of parchment, warm and textured, resting on a wooden table in a sunlit room. The light is golden, akin to the hour just before sunset. There is a pen resting beside the parchment. The ink is dark and fluid. This document is not a list of demands. It is a love letter to clarity. It is a testament to respect. When we approach a relationship agreement template, we are approaching an act of creation. We are crafting a container for connection. It is a sacred act, really, to say to another human being, "I value you enough to be clear with you. I value myself enough to be clear with you. And I value what we create between us enough to write it down, to honor it, to give it a shape." Breathe into that feeling of honor. Feel the solidity of it.
In a world that is often chaotic and fast-paced and full of ambiguity, the act of pausing to agree is a radical act of slowing down. It requires us to stop, to think, to feel, to listen. You cannot rush through a relationship agreement if you want it to be meaningful. You must sip it slowly, like a warm tea. You must let the questions steep. What do I need to feel safe? What do I need to feel loved? What are my hard boundaries? What are my soft desires? The template asks these things gently, prompting you to look inward before you look outward. And so, this video, this narration, is designed to be a companion to that slowing down. We are not here to give legal advice, for the heart follows laws that are ancient and unspoken, but rather to offer a meditative guide through the logistics of consent. We want to help you visualize the process not as paperwork, but as artwork, the art of defining how we relate to one another. There is a rhythm to it, a back and forth. I speak, you listen. You speak, I listen. We write it down. We read it back. Does this resonate? Does this feel true? The template is merely the sheet music for this duet. It ensures we are playing in the same key. It ensures we know when the rest comes and when the crescendo builds. Let your mind wander to the feeling of safety that comes from a locked door or a sturdy fence. Not a fence that keeps people out, but a fence that defines the garden. Within the garden, because the edges are defined, the flowers can grow wild. They can tangle and bloom and reach for the sky because they are protected from the trampling feet of the outside world. The relationship agreement is the fence around your shared garden. It creates a sanctuary.
Sanctuary. A word that smells of incense and old wood. A word that feels like a heavy wool blanket. That is the ultimate goal of the templates we will discuss, to create a sanctuary of mutual understanding. As we prepare to delve deeper in the coming sections, allow yourself to let go of any resistance you might feel toward the idea of contracts in relationships. Let the word contract dissolve and replace it with covenant or promise or understanding. Let the dry, crinkling sound of paper be replaced by the soft whisper of a reassuring voice. We are weaving a safety net. We are building a bridge. We are lighting a lantern to carry with us into the dark. The templates we will explore are flexible. They are living documents. They are not carved in stone, immovable and cold. They are written in pencil, or on screens that can be edited, or in the shifting sands of our evolving lives. They are meant to change as we change. They are meant to grow as we grow. So, as you lie there, breathing steadily, heart beating a slow, calm rhythm, invite a sense of gratitude for the tools that help us understand one another. Gratitude for language, however imperfect it may be. Gratitude for the willingness to agree. Gratitude for the template, the humble guide that takes us by the hand and leads us toward the center of the labyrinth, where clarity awaits. In a moment, we will transition to looking at the foundations of these agreements, the core pillars that hold them up. But for now, simply stay here, in the opening, in the doorway, looking in with curiosity and a peaceful heart. There is no rush. There is only this moment and the quiet promise of understanding that lies ahead, waiting for us to arrive whenever we are ready. And so we step through that doorway together, leaving the noise of the outside world behind. We step into the quiet, spacious room of understanding, a place where the air is still and the light is soft and golden. Here, in this mental space, we begin to examine the foundations. Just as a house requires a strong base to weather the seasons, and a tree requires deep roots to hold fast against the wind, a relationship agreement requires a solid ground upon which to rest. Let us look first at the cornerstone, the very first section of our template. This is often called the statement of intent, or perhaps the shared vision. It is the why. It is the heartbeat of the document. Imagine it, not as a dry paragraph of text, but as a seed planted deep in the earth. This section captures the essence of what you hope to build together. It is a declaration of the spirit in which you enter this union, whether that union is for a night, a season, or a lifetime. In this part of the template, we find words that speak of values. Words like respect, curiosity, joy, and safety. When we write these words down, or even when we simply speak them into the quiet air between us, we are casting a light forward. We are saying, this is the direction we are walking. It is a beautiful thing to align your compass with another, to say, I am heading north toward kindness. Will you walk with me? Breathe in that sense of alignment, the feeling of two paths merging gently into one wider road. There is a deep comfort in knowing that the person beside you is looking at the same horizon. The statement of intent is the anchor. When the waters get choppy, as they sometimes do in the vast ocean of human connection, we can look back at this first section. We can remember the why. We can remember that we agreed to treat one another with care, that we agreed to prioritize clarity over confusion and kindness over being right. Moving gently from the foundation, we come to the pillars that hold up the roof of this structure. The first of these pillars is communication. In the template, this might appear as a section on check-ins or protocols. But let us soften that language. Let us think of it as the flow of the river. How does information move between us? How do we ensure the water remains clear and fresh? A template invites us to decide, specifically and gently, how we wish to speak and be spoken to. It asks us to consider the rhythm of our connection. Perhaps we agree to a weekly ritual, a dedicated time to sit together, perhaps with tea, perhaps by candlelight, to simply ask, how are we? It is a profound act of love to carve out time from the busy world, simply to listen. To listen without the intent to reply, but with the intent to understand. The template might suggest agreed-upon signals, little lanterns we can light when we are feeling overwhelmed, or when we need a moment of pause. It gives us permission to say, I need to slow down, without fear of rejection. It creates a shared language, a shorthand of intimacy that belongs only to the people involved. Imagine the relief of having a safe word or a safe gesture that instantly communicates your state of mind. It is like having a key to a quiet room where you can rest until you are ready to emerge again. As we continue to walk through this metaphorical structure, we find the walls. But these are not walls of stone designed to keep people out. They are the walls of a sanctuary, designed to keep peace within.
This brings us to the section of the template often called boundaries and limits. For some, the word boundary feels sharp. It feels like a barrier. But here, in the gentle light of our understanding, let us reframe it. A boundary is simply the edge of a shape. Without edges, we cannot know where one thing ends and another begins. Without the shoreline, the ocean has no definition. In a relationship agreement, boundaries are the lines that define our comfort, our safety, and our individual selves. The template guides us to explore these edges with curiosity. It asks us to consider our physical boundaries, the sacred space of our bodies. What touches feel nourishing? What distance feels safe? It asks about our emotional boundaries, how much energy we have to give, and what reserves we must keep for ourselves. There is a deep, abiding peace in knowing where the lines are drawn. It removes the need for guessing. It removes the anxiety of accidentally stepping too far. When we have a map, we can relax. We can explore the territory freely, knowing exactly where the cliffs are and where the soft meadows lie. Writing these down, or speaking them aloud, is an act of self-preservation and mutual respect. It says, I value myself enough to protect my well-being, and I value you enough to be honest about my limits. Let yourself feel the weight lifting off your shoulders, the weight of ambiguity. In this agreement, everything is illuminated. There are no hidden traps. There is only the clear, clean geography of consent. As we move deeper into the template, past the pillars of communication and the walls of boundaries, we come to the hearth, the warm center of the home. This represents the section often dedicated to needs and desires. If boundaries are what we wish to avoid, desires are what we wish to invite in. This is the place for dreaming. The template offers a space to articulate what makes us feel loved, what makes us feel seen. Perhaps it is words of affirmation, soft whispers of encouragement. Perhaps it is acts of service, the quiet folding of laundry, the making of coffee in the morning. Perhaps it is touch, or time, or gifts. By using a template to discuss these things, we bypass the awkwardness of asking. The document itself asks for us. It invites us to be vulnerable, to say, "This is what feeds my soul." And in return, we receive the gift of knowing how to feed the soul of another. It is a recipe for satisfaction. It is a guide to the care and keeping of the connection. Imagine writing these desires down, watching the ink flow onto the page, or the letters appear on the screen. Each word is a request for connection. Each sentence is a bridge being built. And as you read the desires of your partner, or partners, you are given a map to their happiness. What a relief to not have to guess. What a joy to know exactly what brings a smile to their face or peace to their heart. And now, let us look up at the roof of our structure, the roof that shelters us from the rain. This is the section of the template dedicated to conflict resolution and evolution. It is the recognition that the weather will not always be sunny. Storms will come. Misunderstandings will arise like clouds obscuring the sun. This is natural. This is human. The template does not pretend that conflict implies failure. Instead, it prepares for it with wisdom. It asks, when we disagree,
How shall we find our way back to one another? It sets the rules of engagement for the difficult moments. It might suggest a cooling off period, a time to step away and breathe before speaking. It might establish a protocol for repair, a way to say, "I am sorry," that is heard and felt. This section is the safety net. It hangs beneath the high wire of the relationship, waiting to catch us if we fall. Knowing it is there allows us to take risks, to be authentic, to make mistakes. We do not have to be perfect, because we have a plan for imperfection. We have agreed, in times of calm, how we will handle times of stress. We have built the roof before the rain began to fall. Consider the materials of this roof. They are woven from patience, forgiveness, and the commitment to return to the table. The template reminds us that the relationship is bigger than the conflict. It reminds us that we are on the same team, even when we feel miles apart. It provides a ladder to climb down from the heights of anger back to the solid ground of resolution. And intertwined with this is the concept of evolution. The template is a living document, remember? It acknowledges that time changes all things. The needs you have today may shift like the tides by next year. The boundaries you set in the winter may need to expand in the summer. So, the agreement includes a promise to review, a promise to revisit the text, not with a critical eye, but with a nurturing one. It sets a date, perhaps every few months, or on an anniversary, to sit down again, to open the document, to dust it off, and ask, does this still fit? Does this still reflect who we are? There is a gentle humility in this process. It admits that we do not know the future. It admits that we are growing creatures, constantly shedding old skins and emerging anew. The template allows the relationship to grow with us. It does not constrain us to a past version of ourselves. It is elastic. It breathes. It expands and contracts as needed. So, as you visualize these sections, the intent, the communication, the boundaries, the desires, and the resolution, see them coming together to form a complete structure. It is a structure built of words, but it houses something far more precious than furniture. It houses trust. It houses vulnerability. It houses the fragile, beautiful potential of human connection. Feel the stability of it. It is not a cage. It is a trellis for the vines of your relationship to climb. It gives support so that you can reach toward the sun. It prevents the connection from sprawling on the ground, untended and wild. It gives it shape. It gives it dignity. Rest your mind on this image of the trellis, sturdy and supportive. The vines are green and lush, curling around the wood, finding their way upward. Flowers bloom where the support is strongest. The air is filled with the scent of growth and the quiet hum of life. There is no rush to fill in all the blanks right now. There is no pressure to have all the answers. The template is simply a tool, waiting for you to pick it up whenever you are ready. For now, it is enough to understand its parts. It is enough to appreciate the wisdom of breaking a complex thing, like a relationship, down into manageable, understandable pieces. We are merely walking through the rooms of this idea, running our hands along the smooth wood of the door frames, admiring the view from the windows. We are cultivating a sense of familiarity with the concept of structure. We are learning that structure does not kill romance, it protects it. It creates a clearing in the dense forest of life where romance can safely rest, undisturbed by the chaos of the unknown. In the next part of our journey, we will begin to look at the specific questions one might ask, the gentle inquiries that fill these sections with life. We will explore the art of asking and the art of listening. But for this moment, stay with the feeling of the foundation. Stay with the sense of the solid floor beneath your feet and the sturdy roof above your head. You are safe here. You are held by the clarity of agreement. You are wrapped in the warm blanket of shared intent. Let your breath mirror this stability. Slow, steady, rhythmic. In and out. Like the opening and closing of a door. Like the rising and setting of the sun. Deeply calm and fully present in the sanctuary of understanding. And now, let us gently drift from the sensation of the solid floor, moving deeper into the interior of this sanctuary we are imagining together. If the structure is the house, then the specific questions within a relationship agreement are the furniture, the soft lighting, the artwork upon the walls. They are the details that turn a space into a home. They are the elements that make the environment hospitable, comfortable, and uniquely yours. As we approach this next phase of understanding, imagine that you are holding a key. It is a small, heavy key, warmed by the heat of your palm. This key represents curiosity. In the realm of consensual agreements, curiosity is the most powerful tool we possess. It is not a prying, demanding curiosity, but a soft, open-hearted wonder. It is the desire to know the landscape of another's mind as intimately as you know the lines on your own hand. So, we begin to look at the first major section found in many of these templates, the section dedicated to communication. This is often the hearth of the agreement, the fireplace where the warmth is generated. In a standard document, it might simply be labeled communication styles. But here, in the quiet of our contemplation, let us think of it as the art of speaking and listening. Consider the questions that might reside here. A template might ask, how do you prefer to receive information? It sounds formal, perhaps, but let the words soften. Translate them into the language of the heart. What it is really asking is, when I have something to share with you, something fragile or important, how shall I carry it to you? Visualize the options as if they were different kinds of weather. Some people prefer the direct sunlight, clear, bright, and immediate. They wish to hear thoughts as soon as they arise, spoken plainly in the moment. Others prefer the gentle twilight, a slower approach where thoughts are written down first, perhaps in a letter or a text, allowing time for the words to settle before they are discussed. There is no right or wrong here, only the preference of the soul. Imagine writing down your preference, seeing the ink flow onto the paper. You are telling your partner how to reach you. You are giving them a map to your attention. You might ask, when we are in the midst of a misunderstanding, do we seek to resolve it immediately, or do we take a pause? Think of this pause. It is like a rest in a piece of music. Some need that silence to gather their rhythm again, to let the heart rate slow, to let the storm clouds pass so they can see the horizon. Others need the reassurance of immediate connection, the bridging of the gap before sleep comes. By agreeing on this beforehand, by filling in this section of the template, you are removing the panic from the moment. You are agreeing on a protocol for peace. You are saying, if I step away, it is not to leave you, but to find my best self so I can return to you. Let us move to the next room in this metaphorical house, the section often titled Emotional Needs and Comfort. This is a space of soft textures, of velvet cushions and warm blankets. Here, the agreement asks us to define what comfort feels like. It is a profound question, isn't it? How do I wish to be comforted when the world feels heavy? For some, comfort is a physical act. It is the weight of a hand on a shoulder, a long embrace where no words are spoken, the simple proximity of another warm body on the sofa. For others, comfort is found in acts of service. It is the making of a cup of tea, the handling of a chore, the removal of a burden. And for some, it is words of affirmation, the gentle whisper that says, "You are doing well. I am here. We will weather this." In filling out this part of the agreement, you are essentially stocking the medicine cabinet of the relationship. You are ensuring that when the inevitable scrapes and bruises of life occur, the right remedy is already at hand. You do not have to guess. You do not have to scramble in the dark. You simply look at what you have agreed upon, and you offer it with an open hand. Drifting further now, we come to the section regarding time and presence. In our modern world, time is a river that flows incredibly fast, often pulling us in 1,000 directions. A relationship agreement acts as a weir or a gentle dam, slowing that water down, creating a pool where you can swim together. This section invites you to ask, how much time do we need together to feel connected? It is not about counting minutes, but about weighing the quality of presence. Perhaps you agree on a ritual, a weekly date night. Do not let the commonness of the phrase diminish its power. Think of it as a sacred appointment, a time when phones are put away, when the noise of the outside world is silenced, and you simply exist in each other's orbit. Visualize what this looks like. Maybe it is a Friday evening walk, watching the streetlights flicker on one by one. Maybe it is a Sunday morning, slow and lazy, with the smell of coffee drifting through the air and the rustle of pages turning. The template asks you to protect this time, to treat it with the same respect you would give a business meeting or a doctor's appointment. It asks you to ring-fence a portion of your life for the cultivation of us. But this section also asks the opposite question, equally important. How much time do we need apart? In the architecture of love, the spaces between the pillars are just as important as the pillars themselves. It is the space that allows the roof to stand. Solitude is not the enemy of intimacy. It is the fuel for it. Here, you might discuss your need for a quiet hour after work to decompress. You might agree on the importance of maintaining individual hobbies, friendship circles, or creative pursuits. By writing this down, by acknowledging it, you remove the guilt. When one partner retreats to read a book in a quiet room, it is not a rejection. It is a recharging. It is part of the design. You are agreeing to let each other breathe. Let us wander now into the section of technology and privacy. In this digital age, the walls of our homes have become permeable. The world can enter through the glowing screens in our pockets.
A consensual agreement often includes a thoughtful discussion on this boundary. It is like deciding when to draw the curtains. The questions here are modern, yet they are rooted in the ancient need for sanctuary. How do we share our relationship with the world? Are we comfortable with photos being shared? Do we have device-free zones in our home? Imagine the bedroom as a sanctuary, a place where the blue light of screens is banished, replaced by the soft glow of a lamp or the light of the moon. Agreeing to leave the digital world at the door is a profound act of intimacy. It says, in this space, only we exist. It creates a hush, a silence in which true connection can bloom. Discussing these boundaries prevents the small resentments that can build when one person is present in the body, but absent in the mind, lost in the scroll of a screen. As we continue to weave through the template, we might encounter the section on intimacy and affection. This is often the most delicate part of the conversation, yet the most rewarding. It is the garden of the relationship, lush and vibrant. Here, the questions are about the language of the body. It is not just about the grand gestures of romance, but the small, daily touchstones. The agreement might ask, how do we greet each other? How do we say goodbye? Perhaps you agree that every time you part ways, there is a kiss or a hug, a physical acknowledgement of the bond. It asks about the frequency of connection and the quality of it. It creates a safe space to voice desires that might otherwise remain unspoken. It is a place to say, I feel most loved when you hold my hand in public, or I prefer our affection to be private, a secret just for us. By articulating these preferences, you are tuning the instrument of the relationship, ensuring that the notes you play resonate with each other. There is a gentleness in this process. Can you feel it? It is the gentleness of being seen. When you sit down to discuss these things, you are looking at your partner and saying, I want to know you. I want to know the intricate manual of your heart. I do not want to assume. I want to understand. And there is a safety in the predictability it offers. Anxiety often stems from the unknown, from the what-ifs. What if they are angry? What if I am doing too much? What if I am not doing enough? The agreement quiets these voices.
It provides a reference point. It is a lighthouse beaming through the fog. Let your mind rest on the image of two people sitting in a comfortable room, perhaps with a pot of tea between them, papers spread out on a low table. The atmosphere is not tense, it is collaborative. They are like two architects looking at a blueprint, deciding where to place the windows to catch the best light. They are co-authors, writing the story of their life together. There is a rhythm to the conversation. A question is asked, a pause for reflection, an answer given, a nod of understanding. The pen moves across the paper, scratching softly, anchoring these abstract wishes into concrete reality. We have covered the emotional, the communicative, the temporal, and the digital. But there are more rooms to explore. Practical rooms. The kitchen, the bank vault, the nursery. These too have their place in the agreement. They may seem less romantic, less poetic than the whispering of emotional needs. but they are the bedrock upon which the poetry rests. In the next section of our journey, we will turn our attention to these practicalities. We will look at how the agreement handles the mundane mechanics of life, finances, households, and future planning. We will see how clarity in these areas clears the weeds from the garden, allowing the flowers of romance to grow without competition. But for now, stay in this space of emotional clarity. Feel the comfort of knowing that your needs are valid and that asking for them is not a burden, but a gift to your partner. For when you tell someone how to love you, you make it infinitely easier for them to do so. Let the feeling of this understanding wash over you like a warm tide. You are learning the art of the ask. You are learning the grace of the answer. You are safe in the knowledge that everything can be discussed. Everything can be navigated, as long as there is a map and a willingness to walk the path together. Breathe into this sense of preparedness. The foundation is laid, the walls are up, the furniture of communication and care is being placed with intention. The house is becoming a home built not of bricks and mortar, but of words, promises, and the gentle, rhythmic pulse of shared consent. Rest here for a moment, in the quiet confidence of the agreement, before we turn the page. And as we turn that page, gently, deliberately, we find ourselves stepping further into the interior of this shared space. We leave the foundation behind, trusting its strength, and we begin to inhabit the rooms of this relationship. This is where the abstract becomes concrete, where the philosophy of love meets the practice of living. It is in the day-to-day rhythms that a relationship truly breathes. And so, the next section of our template focuses on the choreography of the mundane. It might seem unromantic to script the daily routine, to write down who washes the dishes or who tends to the morning coffee. But let us reframe this. Consider that confusion is the enemy of peace. When we do not know what is expected of us, we carry a low hum of anxiety, a static noise in the background of our minds. We wonder if we are doing enough, or perhaps we feel the weight of doing too much. The agreement settles this dust. It assigns roles not as rigid chains, but as parts in a harmony. Imagine the kitchen in the morning light. The sun is just beginning to touch the countertops, casting long, golden rectangles across the floor. In a relationship without clarity, this room might hold the tension of unmade decisions. But in the sanctuary of your agreement, the dance is already choreographed. One partner moves to the kettle, the other to the pantry. There is no need for negotiation before the caffeine is kicked in. No friction, only the smooth, silent sliding of two lives moving in parallel. This is what the template offers regarding logistics, the gift of flow. By deciding beforehand how the household runs, you are freeing up your mental energy for connection, for affection, for the simple joy of being together. Let your mind drift to the concept of time, that most precious of resources. A thoughtful relationship agreement often includes a section on time, specifically the balance between we and I. It is a beautiful paradox that to be close, we must sometimes stand apart. Two trees planted too closely together will struggle for the light, but spaced with intention, their branches may interlace, while their roots remain distinct. The template invites you to define your solitude. It asks you to articulate your need for quiet, for hobbies, for moments where you are simply yourself, untethered from the identity of the partnership. And because this is written down, because it is agreed upon with love, taking this space never feels like a rejection. It feels like a restoration. Imagine closing the door to a room, knowing that this closed door is respected. It is not a barrier shutting your partner out, but a cocoon you have entered to recharge. Inside, the air is still. You can read, or meditate, or simply stare out the window at the swaying branches. And on the other side of the door, your partner feels no worry. They know the map. They know that this solitude is part of the agreement, a necessary breath that allows you to return to them fuller, brighter, and more present. This section of the agreement is the guardian of your individuality. It ensures that in becoming a we, you never lose the I. Now, let us wander gently into a topic that often carries weight, but here, in this safe space, feels light as a feather. The realm of resources, finances. In the waking world, money can be a source of noise and storm. But within the meditative structure of the agreement, it is simply energy. It is the fuel that keeps the home warm, the pantry stocked, and the future secure. Visualizing the financial section of your agreement, see it not as a ledger of debts, but as a reservoir of shared intent. You are deciding, together, how the river flows. Perhaps you have a joint pool, a mingling of waters where the common life is sustained. Perhaps you keep separate streams, honoring the paths you walked before you met. There is no right or wrong way. There is only the way that brings you peace. Feel the relief of transparency. There are no secrets here, no hidden anxieties about bills or spending. Everything is laid out on the table, bathed in the soft light of understanding. You discuss your goals, your fears, and your dreams. By giving these things a name and a place in the document, you strip them of their power to frighten. You transform money from a master into a servant, a tool that builds the life you are designing together. The agreement creates a container for this energy, strong and watertight, so that you need not worry about leaks, only about where you wish to sail. And as we drift deeper, we approach the section that deals with the weather of the heart. For even in the most idyllic garden, rain must fall. Even in the most loving home, shadows will sometimes stretch across the floor. Conflict is natural. It is the friction of two distinct souls rubbing against one another. The agreement does not seek to prevent the rain, but to provide an umbrella. This is the conflict resolution protocol. It sounds formal, but it is deeply tender. It is a promise made in peacetime to treat each other with care during the war. It is the safe word for emotional intensity. Think of a moment when tempers might flare, when exhaustion or stress makes the words come out sharp. In a relationship without a map, this could lead to days of cold silence or words that leave scars. But you have a template. You have agreed, perhaps, that if voices raise, a pause is called. A hand signal, a specific phrase, a gentle timeout. Visualize this pause. It is like stepping out of a storm into a warm, dry cabin. You agree to separate for 20 minutes, to let the nervous system settle, to let the breath return to its slow, rhythmic depth. You agree that no matter how heated the moment, no one leaves the house without saying where they are going. You agree that the relationship itself is never on the table during a fight, that the bond is the solid ground beneath the argument, unshakable. This section of the agreement acts as a safety net. It allows you to be imperfect. It allows you to be human, to have bad days, to misunderstand and be misunderstood, without the fear that the relationship will crumble. You have built the shock absorbers into the vehicle. You can navigate the potholes, the bumps in the road, knowing that the carriage will hold. There is such profound relaxation in this, knowing that even your shadow side is accounted for, and that there is a plan to handle it with grace. Let us move now to the concept of the check-in. A template is not a stone tablet, carved once and buried in the sand. It is a living document, organic and evolving. Just as you change, just as the seasons change, so too must the agreement adapt. This section establishes a ritual, a rhythm of renewal. Perhaps it is once a month, perhaps with the turning of the moon, or the changing of the calendar season. You set a date not for work, but for realignment. Imagine this ritual. It is evening. The world outside is quiet. You light a candle, maybe pour a glass of something warm and soothing. You bring out the agreement, not to scrutinize it with a critical eye, but to honor it. You ask each other soft, open questions. Is this still working for us? Do we need to adjust the sails? Is there a new desire blooming that we need to make space for? This is the maintenance of the garden. It is the gentle pruning, the watering of new seeds. It prevents the weeds of resentment from taking root. It ensures that you are never drifting apart, only drifting forward, side by side. This scheduled revisit removes the pressure of having to bring up heavy topics out of nowhere. You don't have to wait for a crisis to talk about the relationship. You have a dedicated time, a sacred container already on the calendar. Feel the security of that recurring date. It is a lighthouse in the distance, a beacon that assures you that no matter how busy life gets, there is a time reserved solely for the health of us. It creates a sense of continuity, a narrative that is being written in real time. As we rest in this understanding, consider the sensory details of the agreement itself. Is it digital or is it physical? There is something grounding about paper. Imagine the texture of the page under your fingertips, the weight of the pen, the visual proof of your commitment. Some couples choose to write their agreements by hand, letting the unique loop and flow of their handwriting become part of the promise. Others might keep it in a shared digital space, a modern hearth where both can access it any time, a glowing screen in the dark of night when reassurance is needed. The medium matters less than the intention. The intention is the anchor. We are nearing the end of the template's structure now. We have covered the foundation, the daily dance, the resources, the solitude, and the storms. The house is fully furnished. The fire is lit. The pantry is full. But there is one final element, a crowning jewel that sits at the very top of this structure. It is the vision for the future. This is not about the logistics of tomorrow, but the dreams of next year and the decade after. It is the section where you allow yourselves to dream in unison, where you paint the sky of your world. But we must pause here, hovering on the edge of this vast horizon. Take a deep breath in, filling your lungs with the air of clarity, and release it slowly, letting go of any lingering confusion. You are safe. You are prepared. The structure you are building is resilient. It is designed to hold the weight of a real, complex, beautiful life. Feel the solidity of the floor beneath you, the metaphorical floor of your shared understanding. It does not creak. It does not give way. It supports you completely. You are learning that rules do not restrict love. They clarify it. They act as the trellis that allows the vine to climb higher toward the sun. Without the trellis, the vine stays on the ground. With it, it can reach the sky. Rest in this image of the trellis and the vine, the support and the growth, the structure and the organic life. They are not opposites. They are partners, just like you, just like the agreement. Drift in this space of structured peace, letting the words settle into your subconscious, organizing your thoughts, soothing your heart. The path is clear, the map is drawn, and we have one final destination to explore together before we close the book. Stay here, in the comfort of the known, in the warmth of the agreed upon, breathing gently, waiting for the final unfolding. And so, we arrive at the concept of coping. The ink dries, or perhaps the cursor simply stops blinking, resting at the end of the final sentence. The words are set. The intentions are crystallized. There is a profound silence that follows the making of an agreement, a silence not of emptiness, but of fullness. It is the silence of a heavy door closing against the wind, creating a warm, still chamber within. Consider for a moment the physical nature of this template you have explored, this document you have mentally drafted. Whether it exists on paper, with its fibers and grain, or in the glowing ether of a digital screen, it has weight. It has gravity. It is no longer just a list of preferences or a catalog of boundaries. It has transmuted, through the alchemy of your attention and your care, into a vessel. Imagine this vessel now. It is holding the water of your relationship. Before this structure existed, the water might have spilled, flowing unpredictably, evaporating in the heat of misunderstanding. But now, it is held. It is cradled. The template is the cup, and the relationship is the nourishment inside. You can drink from it freely, knowing it will not leak,
knowing it will not break. The shape is chosen, the capacity is known. Allow your mind to drift over the landscape of the agreement one last time, not to analyze it, but to admire the view. You are standing at the top of a gentle hill, looking down over the valley of your shared future. Because you have done the work, the fog has lifted. You can see the paths. You can see where the river bends. You can see the fences that keep the garden safe and the open gates that invite exploration. There is a deep, resonating comfort in removing the guesswork. The human mind, your mind, often tires itself out trying to predict the weather of another person's heart. It exhausts itself wondering where the lines are drawn. But here, in this space of consensual clarity, the weather is forecasted. The lines are drawn in soft, permanent ink. You can lay down the burden of prediction. You can stop scanning the horizon for storms because you have already built the shelter. Feel that burden lifting off your chest right now. It is a physical sensation. The tightness that comes from uncertainty, the subtle tension of what if. It is dissolving like mist in the morning sun. You have asked the questions. You have heard the answers. The template has done its job. It has acted as a sieve, filtering out the confusion, leaving behind only the pure, gold nuggets of understanding. Think of the trust that is woven into every clause. A template is not just a rule book. It is a testament to value. By agreeing to these terms, by navigating these negotiations, you have said to one another, I value you enough to be precise. I value us enough to be careful. That is a lullaby in itself. To be handled with care, to be treated with specific, documented reverence. Let this feeling of reverence wash over you. It is a warm tide, rising slowly from your feet, past your knees, soothing your hips and your stomach, calming the steady beat of your heart. You are cherished enough to be accounted for. Your desires are important enough to be written down. You are not an afterthought. You are the headline. You are the text. You are the signature. As we move deeper into this closing space, visualize the agreement being filed away. It does not need to be held in your hands constantly. It does not need to be read every hour. It is done. You can place it in a metaphorical drawer, a drawer made of cedar and velvet, safe and sound. It is there if you need it. It is there to remind you if you forget. But for now, you can close the drawer. Hear the soft sound of that drawer sliding shut. Click. That is the sound of security. That is the sound of a foundation settling. Now, you simply live in the house you have built. You walk across the floors of consent. You rest under the roof of boundaries. You look out the windows of shared vision. The structural work is finished. Now comes the living. Now comes the resting. Let your breathing synchronize with this sense of permanence. Inhale, drawing in the stability of the agreement. Exhale, releasing any remaining doubts. Inhale the structure. Exhale the chaos. The rhythm is steady, like a pendulum swinging gently in a quiet room. Back and forth. Agreement and action. Promise and fulfillment. You are floating now,
drifting on the calm waters of a protected harbor. The agreement is the breakwater, the sea wall that stands tall against the rough ocean outside. Inside here, where you are, the water is like glass. It reflects the stars. It rocks you gently, imperceptibly. You are safe from the crashing waves of the undefined. You are in the sanctuary of the defined. Notice how the concept of rules has softened in your mind. At the beginning, they may have felt cold, rigid. Now, they feel like the walls of a sanctuary. They define the space where you are free. Within these boundaries, you can be anything. You can rest. You can play. You can sleep. The template has created a vast, open space for your dreams to inhabit. The negotiation is over. The stillness has returned. It is the stillness of a library after the patrons have gone. It is the stillness of a forest after the wind has died down. In this silence, you can hear your own true self. You can hear the gentle hum of the connection you share, or the connection you seek. It is a harmonious chord, vibrating in the air. Rest your attention on the feeling of your own body, supported by the surface beneath you. Just as the bed or the chair supports your physical form, the agreement supports your emotional form. You do not have to hold yourself up. You do not have to be vigilant. The structure is holding you. You can let go of your muscles. Let them melt. Let them become heavy and loose. The neck untensing. The shoulders falling away from the ears. The hands uncurling, empty of the need to grasp or control. The agreement handles the control. You are free to simply be. Imagine a soft, golden light emanating from the document you visualized earlier. It is a light of awareness. It glows in the dark drawer of your mind, a nightlight for your subconscious. It reminds you that everything is in order. There are no loose ends. The I's are dotted. The T's are crossed. The loop is closed. Everything is exactly where it needs to be. As you drift deeper, the words of the template dissolve into feelings. Respect becomes a warm blanket. Limits become a comfortable pillow. Safe words become a guardian angel standing watch. The language of law becomes the language of love, and then the language of sleep. You are traveling away from the intellectual, away from the analytical, down into the primal, the peaceful, the quiet. The trellis and the vine are one in the shadows of the night. The map is folded. The compass is still. You have arrived at your destination. There is nothing left to decide tonight. There is nothing left to negotiate. The terms are set for a peaceful night. The only clause active right now is the one that grants you permission to rest. You have full consent to sleep. You have full consent to let go. Feel the edges of your consciousness blurring. The sharp lines of the world are softening, becoming watercolor, becoming abstract. The agreement is a distant anchor holding you steady, but you are floating on the long, slow chain of relaxation. It is a beautiful thing to agree, to harmonize, to find the middle ground and both a camp there. You are in that camp now. The fire is burning low, casting a warm glow on the faces of your thoughts. Soon, the fire will turn to embers, and the embers will turn to ash, and the darkness will be sweet and velvety. Trust in the template you are understood. Trust that it works even when you are not thinking about it. Like the foundation of the building you are in, it holds up the walls while you sleep. You do not need to check it. You do not need to inspect it. It is solid. It is there. Allow yourself to sink deeper and deeper into the certainty of this moment. The past is a signs document. The future is a blank page waiting for tomorrow. But the present, this very new, is a pause, a deep, restorative pause. You are safe. You are understood. You are protected by your own wisdom and the wisdom of the agreements you make. Drift now. Drift on the current of completion. The lesson is over. The box is closed. The quiet is here. The silence wraps around you with a heavy quilt. The peace is absolute. The agreement is sleep. Rest now. Good night.